Joining me now from Iowa is former Arkansas governor and current Republican presidential candidate Asa Hutchinson. Governor Hutchinson, good to see you.
Chuck, it's always good to be with you.
So I want to get your sense of, look, I know the correct answer that, Nikki, of course you want to be talking about China and the border and all this, but is this the fault of the Justice Department or is this the fault of Donald Trump running for president again?
Well, it's because Donald Trump has brought these challenges on himself, whether it's the document case in Florida or whether it is the January 6 allegations. Nobody did this to him except himself. Clearly, the Justice Department has not done well under the Durham report. They were found to have, the FBI, not followed the best traditions of the law. But every case rises and falls on its own facts, and Donald Trump is no exception to this. His case is going to be tried just like any other case, and that's our system of justice.
I don't know if you caught my first segment where I had two of our legal experts sort of outline the probable timeline of this trial. And you see the calendar here. You've got a trial that begins maybe as early as the spring, after many of the primaries, perhaps about a month before the convention at the latest. We'll have a verdict sometime in October. Maybe sentencing takes place after the election. What are we doing? What's the Republican Party doing here? At some point, I know you have stood up and said this is a terrible idea, that Trump should get out of the race, but elected Republicans aren't fighting this.
Every candidate for president on the Republican side needs to be very clear as to their view of what Donald Trump did on January 6th. They need to be clear as to whether they're going to support the rule of law and our justice system or whether they're going to support chaos. And I've made my position clear. Right now, it's certainly the minority position, but it'll make the debate interesting whether Donald Trump participates in it or not. We need a voice such as mine on that debate stage that will raise these issues and not coronate Donald Trump, but hold him accountable. I think that's what the American public expects from our justice system, is to hold those responsible.
Do you think that Republican senators made a mistake in not convicting Trump? Because if they had convicted him, we wouldn't be here.
No, that's retracing history. First of all, if you would have had the case after the hearings in which all the evidence was presented, then it might have been a different trial in the Senate. But here, they jump-started it. They rushed it through. There wasn't a foundation laid. And I did not think it was justified even at that time. Of course, now we know so many more facts. They're laid out there. I've always said that he is morally responsible. The question now is whether he's criminal responsible. The Justice Department has done its job. It's presented the case. Now the jury will have to do it.
I'm curious.
And the voters
you're
will
a
have
former.
to decide.
You're former. You've worked at the Justice Department. You've been in a U.S. attorney. What did you make of the indictment? Is it strong?
Well, it's strong. Absolutely, it's strong. Whenever you're looking at an attack on our democracy, a conspiracy to disrupt a government proceeding, which is the lawful transfer of power. It doesn't get any more serious to our democracy or to an individual who's charged with it. Whenever you mentioned, as a former federal prosecutor, I looked at the timeline as well. And I think those federal judges will be speaking to each other about making sure that they can coordinate the multiple trials and hearings that are going to have to take place. So it's going to add some dimension to it, but it all depends upon the judges as to when this comes to trial.
I want to play you something that Governor DeSantis said today and get your reaction to it. It's the closest he's come to sounding critical of the former president's 2020 election rhetoric. Take a listen.
Yes or no question, do you think the 2020 election was stolen?
I've said many times, the election is what it is. All those theories that were put out did not prove to be true. So it was not an election that was conducted the way I think we want to, but that's different than saying like Maduro stole votes or something like that. And I think those theories, proved to be unsubstantiated.
Is that enough? Do you think he needs to get stronger?
Well, I think he's weak. Whenever that teenager in New Hampshire at a town hall meeting asked him his view on January 6th, he couldn't answer it, and he dismissed it. This is a fundamental question that candidates and those that care about our justice system need to answer and need to be clear on, and it has to be unambiguous. We're leaders, and people right now only hear one voice out there, which is Donald Trump conducting his public relations campaign, and we don't need to fall in line with that. Let's uphold our justice system more than an individual who claims he's a victim.
All right, you need to get on that debate stage. You have been pretty transparent that you're having a tough time. You're almost halfway there, but that means you've got a lot of work to do in the next couple of weeks. If you don't make this threshold, it gets harder. Is your campaign on the line this month?
Well, obviously, getting on that debate stage is critical, and your audience will determine whether someone that will speak out and speak the truth about Donald Trump will be on there. You know, Chuck, it's asa2024.com, and every contribution helps me to get on that debate stage.
You don't care whether these are people that
can...
may not support you, that they just want you on the debate stage? That's all you don't mind if it's a Democrat giving you money, a progressive, something like that?
People want me on that debate stage. We need to hear the candidates, so I'll take any donation, absolutely. Now, we've had 10,000 donors just in the last 2 weeks, so we've got a lot of momentum here. We're going to get there. We're pulling out every stop, but we always take advantage of every opportunity to ask for support.
Former Governor Chris Christie made a visit to Ukraine. I think there now may have just left. President Zelensky has said he welcomes candidates coming to visit him in Kyiv. Do you plan on doing that?
I would love to. Actually, we looked at doing that earlier, and we will very likely do that as time allows coming up. I'm supportive, of course, of our efforts in Ukraine. It's critical for us. I've talked to the ambassador from Ukraine and shared my support for them. I would like to be there in person on the ground at some point. Are you concerned that your party is less supportive right now? And how much of that do you think is the shift sort of that Trump sort of has pushed? And how much of it do you think is just sort of a reactionary view because Biden's for it? No, I think there's a division in the party, and it's coming about because our leaders are being uncertain in their opposition to Putin and Russia. Whenever you look at the appeasement language of Donald Trump, whenever you look at weak responses by Ron DeSantis, clearly, and Vivek, clearly there's a difference of opinion on it. And that's why we have to be strong. We have to make sure that we continue our support there because the world is watching. And it's just such a miscalculation to say Europe's not doing anything because they are. They've done more than ever before, and we want to continue to support that.
Yeah, Europe is bearing a big burden on this. Ask Poland what it's like with all those refugees, that's for sure. Governor, happy anniversary to you and your wife. 50 years, and you're celebrating in Iowa. Where else did you want to celebrate your 50th anniversary?
Absolutely. I'm going to owe my wife a big trip to Scotland coming up, but today it's Iowa.
Well, congratulations to the both of you. 50 years. That's a true accomplishment. Good luck. Stay safe on the trip.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.